What's going on, guys? Styx here with the Token Minorities, bringing you Week 9 of Season 5 of the PPL Division 2, and this week we are up against Carson or ToxicGaming and his Chicago Bewears. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And if you are new to the channel, please feel free to check out the Discord that is linked in the description below. We have channels for not only draft format, but Smogon and TCG, as well as we do have those types of content on TTM as well. So yeah, I just said as well like 12 times, but we might as well move on. Might as well add another to that and move on to the team. Like I said, we are up against Carson or ToxicGaming and his Chicago Bewears, with Landorus T, Latias, Mega Kangaskhan, Rotom Wash, Ferrothorn, Drapion, Chandelure, Excelgor, and Alolan Ninetales. Now, immediately looking at his team, I'm noticing the core of Landorus T and Mega Kangaskhan, a core that I had in the previous CPC season, a core that is insanely strong physically, but falls short in the speed category, so that is definitely going to be something that I try to exploit with my team. But also, he has a much better team surrounding it with the Latias, Rotom Wash, Ferrothorn. I mean, all of those guys are bulky enough to take hits, and they're very annoying to my team. I mean, even Alolan Ninetales with the ability to set up Aurora Veil will be something that is very difficult for my team to take on. And Excelgor, I mean, the mon of his that is the lowest point value is one of the biggest threats to my team, as I really don't have anything that takes it on 1v1. My fat stuff like Mew and Swampert can get hit super effectively. Tapu Koko can get hit hard. Charizard gets hit hard by Life Orb, Bug Buzz. So I mean, basically a lot of his stuff, like even his low tier stuff, is very, very threatening to me. So this is actually a match that I'm relatively terrified for, to be honest, because I mean, Landorus T is one of the best Z users in the game as well. Oh, by the way, Landorus T is his Z user. Forgot to mention that. And then, of course, Mega Kangaskhan, if not properly prepared for, is something that can run through the team. And that, combined with the support from Ferrothorn, Rotom Wash, Latias, and then also Aurora Veil, is something that will be very difficult to deal with if I allow him to get all of that set up. That being said, Mega Charizard X does a ton against his team. Now, I know I've been saying that for a couple weeks, that Charizard does do very well, and Charizard's one of those mons, well, specifically Mega Charizard X is one of those mons that I really like, not because it always leads the league in kills or anything like that, or because it's a mon that is able to just win all the time. It's a mon that forces your opponent to respond to it. It's not a mon that your opponent can just kind of passively prepare for. It's so powerful and so devastating with just a standard Dragon Dance set. I mean, with its just standard Dragon Dance set, it destroys many, many teams to where your opponent normally not only has to dedicate one, but have a counter and a check or multiple checks to Mega Charizard at +1 in order to keep from being swept by it. So it forces a lot of prep by your opponent. That allows the rest of your mons to do even better. So, I mean, while Charizard might not always have the best kill-death ratio, or even in some cases it won't even do anything in a battle, I really, really like having Charizard as even just a mon that is listed in my draft, because it forces my opponent to prepare, and in some cases even over-prepare. That being said, in this case, Charizard can just body the crap out of my opponent. I mean, if Charizard gets to +1 in it, and it gets to +1 pretty easily on a lot of his mons, I will run through his team. The only thing that can take a +1 hit from Charizard is Landorus T. I mean, I guess bulky Rotom or Haban Latias could as well, but nothing on his team takes on Charizard when it gets to +1. I mean, he is forced to run either Scarf Latias or a bulky Landorus. I mean, even Scarf Landorus will still go down after like 2 to 3 rounds of rocks if I'm able to get a Dragon Dance off, and because I'll be able to outspeed it, it's just insane. So Charizard has an incredible matchup, and it's definitely what I'm going to be centering my team around. that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into the team, starting with the Tapu Koko. I am running a set of Taunt, Roost, Dazzling Gleam, and Volt Switch. I could run things like HP Ice or HP Fire for the Ferrothorn, but Ferrothorn is a pun intended thorn in my side, so I don't think he will necessarily immediately go for Gyro Ball against my Tapu Koko, so I want to prevent it from getting hazards up, because as long as I can keep Ferrothorn from getting hazards up, my team does very well, and also Charizard is a lot less pressured. Additionally, the decision to go for Taunt over Hidden Power Fire is because this allows me to get the lead matchup against Alolan Ninetales and prevent it from getting up in Aurora Veil. With the HP that I'm running, Tapu Koko can take a Blizzard and I can eventually roost it off to where eventually Hail runs out. I can Volt Switch, I can Dazzling Gleam. Like, Tapu Koko will be bulky enough to take on lead Alolan Ninetales, and I can prevent the Aurora Veil from getting up. And also, if he does not predict that I will have Taunt with Ferrothorn, I can prevent it from being able to get rocks up and then just get a free switch in to whatever I decide to go for. So that's why I decided to have Taunt and then Roost, Dazzling Gleam, Volt Switches. That has good coverage against his team. Dazzling Gleam has very, very solid neutral coverage and is just the most spammable move, so that's why I decided to go Farium, just in case I needed an extra damage or an extra high amount of damage in one hit on, say, like the Mega Kangaskhan, the Landorus T, even the Alolan Ninetales. Just be able to be like, okay, this thing's annoying, I want this thing gone, just gonna go straight for a Farium and take that thing out. I mean, it's not overly powerful, but it's just like that little extra oomph when you need it in a certain situation. The EVs, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The speed is to outspeed Latias, as that's his fastest mon, maxed out special attack to hit hard, and then threw the rest into HP so that I can be bulky, and that way a Taunt Roost Koko can be sufficient in taking on his team. I mean, Gyro Ball still does a ton, but particularly the Alolan Ninetales, this allows me to take that thing on 1v1 and prevent Aurora Veil from being set up. Next up, we do have the Mon that, I mean, I think this Mon's going to go in this matchup, and that is going to be Charizard. I mean, just its dual stab runs through his team, and considering that Charizard is actually very bulky as well, I mean, particularly defensively, but I guess especially defensively as well, it can take some non-invested hits. I should be able to set up on things like Rotom Wash, Drapion, Chandelure, not Excelgor as much as I want to, but I can take a hit and set up on it, so I guess you can include that as well. But I'm going for a bulky Dragon Dance Charizard X because it gives me more opportunities to set up on particularly Rotom, but also to a lesser extent like Scarfed Chandelure and, well, basically those two. Just be able to take the hits better and Dragon Dance, but then also roost off the damage. And then Dragon Claw and Flare Blitz covers his team it covers his team sufficiently. There is absolutely no reason that I necessarily need to run another coverage move. Now, the EVs are enough speed to guaranteed outspeed even Jolly Max Speed Landorus, and then the attack is just enough to Oko Mega Kangaskhan. Oko 0 bulk Mega Kangaskhan at +1. Now, that wasn't, I'm not necessarily thinking that he's going to bring 0 bulk Mega Kangaskhan, and if so, then I will probably like have rocks up as well. So I mean, I'm not thinking that that's a situation that's necessarily going to occur as much. It's just kind of a benchmark that is pretty solid. I mean, it allows my Charizard to also Oko a little bit of bulk Landorus T after 2 rounds of Stealth Rocks with Flare Blitz if I do get a Dragon Dance up on the Switch. And so, I mean, just that type of stuff. And then this Charizard, I mean, I really do think it has a chance to just go in with this bulky spread, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to get up a Dragon Dance. Next up, we do have my Don't Lose to Landorus Mon in my Skarmory with Lefties, Defog, Taunt, Brave Bird, and Roost. I am not running hazards on this thing. I could run Spikes, and I could also run Stealth Rock on this, but I decided that Stealth Rock would better fit on Swampert, which you guys will see, and this also allows me to beat Ferrothorn 1v1. Ferrothorn does come in on Skarmory, Skarmory comes in on Ferrothorn, and it's usually just kind of a stalemate between the two. With Taunt and Defog, it not only allows me to get rid of hazards, but also prevent him from getting his own hazards up, while I can wear it down with Brave Bird, and then I can heal up with Roost while he just tries to either go for like knockoffs, Gyro Balls, Power Whips, and then, or in best case scenario, switches out. Because, I mean, I know I will be taking damage from Brave Bird plus Iron Barbs, but with Taunt plus Roost, I will win that 1v1. And that's just something that I definitely want. I decided that I really did want the ability to taunt Ferrothorn, keep that thing from being able to set up. And also Landorus, Double Dance Landorus has a chance to destroy me if it is just... I mean, if Landorus gets up +2 in either attack or special, or not special attack, in attack or speed, I have ways to deal with it. I do not have ways to deal with it if he gets up both. Skarmory is normally a mon if it doesn't have Whirlwind, which I don't, and he predicts that, then he can potentially set up on me, which allows me to lose. Skarmory with Taunt, even though I will be outsped, allows it to only get up one of the two before it has to go on the offensive. So the investment is just pretty straightforward, just max defense through some or max out HP, just take hits as well as possible, take physical hits as well as possible, and then the other 4s was just trying to get the most out of the EVs that I possibly could. Next up, we do have Stallbreaker Mew with just the very, very standard Lefties, Willow, Knockoff, Soft-Boiled, and Taunt. I really don't have a Latias switch-in because I am forced to go full defensive with my Skarmory. I need something to take special hits. Yeah, I need something to take special hits because a Life Orb Latias would just run through my team, so I really need something to work around that. And then also, just being the Stallbreaker allows me to beat Rotom, beat Ferrothorn. With the speed that I have, allows me to outspeed Lando, get a Wisp on that if it's not Scarfed, and then potentially get the jump on non-speed invested Mega Kang, as, I mean, I'm guessing Mega Kang's going to be Adamant. If it's Jolly, then I deal with that a lot better. Or not even necessarily Adamant. I'm not expecting it to be speed boosting nature is what I'm trying to say. So basically, with Will-O-Wisp and Knockoff, I do wear down his team. Taunt and Soft Boil allow me to keep him from wearing down my Mew, and also just prevent him from using Mew as setup fodder with like Ferrothorn, Chandelure, stuff like that, and then Knockoff is sufficient for Chandelure as well. The speed, like I said, is to guaranteed outspeed Jolly Landorus, and then I think I will probably get the jump on Mega Kang as well, as I'm not expecting it, like I said, to be a speed boosting nature. The Spadef is to avoid I believe it's to avoid a 2-hit KO from Life Orb Latias, not without rocks. I mean, I'm thinking that he actually won't have the best opportunity to get up rocks in this matchup, as Ferrothorn is probably going to be his rocker. I'm not thinking Landorus will be, as he'll want that to try to revenge kill Charizard. I mean, he could run fat Landorus, but that just makes it so much easier for things like Tapu Koko and Persian to be able to take on. So I'm thinking he's going to be Scarf Landorus, meaning that Ferrothorn's going to be his rocker, meaning he's not going to have that many opportunities to get up rocks, as I am running not 1, not 2, not 3, but spoilers, 4 taunt users on my team, and then 2 fire moves on the remaining mon. So I'm not thinking Ferrothorn's going to have the most opportunities to keep up rocks. So having Mew just be able to take the hits, or to avoid the 2-hit KO from Life Orb Latias' Draco, is sufficient for this team. And then, I mean, just fairly straightforward after that. Next up, we do have Swampert, and this is a get up rocks and potentially wear down some stuff type of mon, particularly like Latias, Rotom, stuff like that, with Stealth Rock, Scald, Toxic, and Hidden Power Fire, and then the leftovers just for longevity. I mean, Stealth Rock because that's very, very important for wearing down Landorus in range of Charizard. If I could have one mon that would take Stealth Rock damage every time it came in, and the rest of his mons would just be free to switch in without any damage, I would take that on the Landorus. That's how much I need rocks up in this matchup in order to get Landorus in range of Charizard X as quickly as possible. Scald is just a nice and spammable move, potentially get a burn on something that tries to switch in. Toxic is good for Latias or Rotom, which in and of themselves are switch-ins to Swampert, particularly Latias. I'm thinking, well, actually Rotom, Rotom gets Defog as well, so that's Rotom and Latias both will switch into Swampert, not fearing really anything at all. So, I mean, when I get rocks up, they're probably going to go for the Defog immediately as opposed to attack the Swampert, because, I mean, it's a free Defog. It gets rid of the hazards ASAP, and also what's Swampert realistically going to do to them apart from a Toxic? So, I mean, they'll probably trade the Toxic for defogging, but at the same time, I mean, it gets Toxic on them. It starts wearing them down for the rest of my team. The SPDF is to also avoid the 2-hit KO from Life Orb, Latias, Draco, and then the defense is to avoid an Oko from +2 Landorus's Earthquake after Rocks. So this is kind of a spread that I spent a little bit of time on, just trying to figure out, okay, what's the optimum spread for Swampert, just to be able to take the hits that I need it to while keeping up rocks and getting off Toxic on the stuff that I would like to get Toxic. Finally, we do have the Alolan Persian. I am really excited to bring this. This is the first time I have ever brought this mon, and quite frankly, it has an amazing matchup. Foul Play is so spammable against his team. Parting Shot will get me in mons that I would that have good matchups. Like, it allows me to get like Roosts or Soft Boiled with my bulky stuff. It will allow me to set up on -1 mons with Charizard. Like, Alolan Persian just has such a good matchup. And then with Fur Coat and Rocky Helmet, I'm able to just use this thing to switch into Mega Kangaskhan, make it take a bunch of recoil off of even, like, well, Double Edge with Rocky Helmet. Basically, Mega Kang kills itself, and then Foul Play finishes the job. Parting Shot, like I said, for momentum, allows setup or recovery with my other mons. Another taunt just to keep Ferrothorn or Drapion or Chandelure or whatever from trying to set up. I mean, even a Last Ditch, prevent Alolan Ninetales from being able to get up the Aurora Veil. And then Toxic for things like mainly Rotom. I mean, that's pretty much it. Rotom's the only thing that really doesn't mind Persian as much as the rest of his team. It's just a good thing to spam on switching if I decide that Parting Shot is not the move that I want to go for in that scenario. But I mean, Toxic, I doubt I'm ever going to go for that. These three moves are what I'm using Alolan Persian for, and I'm excited. I have never used Persian. I've never used Alolan Persian, but in this matchup, I really, really like it, so I'm pumped for it. And yeah, speed, just very straightforward. Speed is for not Mega Latias. Well, I guess technically Mega Latias as well, but that's not in this matchup. Speed is for Latias, and then just bulk and defense to be able to switch into Mega Kang and Landorus. So yeah, that's the team. Wow, I talked about this team for way too long. Let's go ahead and hop right on over to the battle. Alrighty, here we are in the battle, and the first thing I'm noticing looking at his team is that he does not have Rotom Wash, Ferrothorn, or Alolan Ninetales, all three of which I was somewhat worried about, but unfortunately he does have the Excelgor, which I learned through Mox is a gigantic threat to me and is something that I just need to try to get out of the way ASAP, even if I do have to sack him on to get rid of it. Trading for Excelgor 1-for-1, given the team composition that I have, is definitely worthwhile. So that being said, I am going to lead with my Skarmory, as I'm thinking that, okay, if he leads Lando, that's not a big deal at all. I can defog away, there's nothing really Lando can do, or he's probably going to lead Excelgor, and then anything else on his team I do have good switch-ins for. So I'm just going to lead with the Skarmory, as he does lead with his Excelgor, and like I said, this thing's a huge threat that even if I sack my Skarmory, which while not ideal, would just be worth it to get this thing out of the way as quickly as I can. So turn one, whether or not he attacks me, I'm just going to go for the Brave Bird, as he does reveal the Life Orb, Hidden Power Fire, or I'm assuming Hidden Power Fire, it could be Hidden Power Electric, but let's be real, it's probably Hidden Power Fire, also for, well, mainly for Skarmory, so it could be Hidden Power Electric. I'm thinking it's Hidden Power Fire, though. So I am able to take him out, as he does hit me with a very hard Hidden Power Fire, and that's very unfortunate. Well, fortunate and unfortunate. Unfortunate that I had to let Skarmory get as low as it is, but fortunate that I not only take out the Excelgor, but I do also live a switch into Rocks. So I will be able to come in on potentially Scarfed Landorus later in the game that just gets a kill with Earthquake and then Roost up. So I mean, that's kind of what I have to hope for, but regardless, Excelgor's gone, big threat out of the way, and even though Skarmory's low, I'm okay with that. Like, that threat's gone, so I'm relatively okay with that. He goes into his Drapion, and I'm just going to go straight into my Swampert. There's nothing really Drapion can do apart from, like, Swords Dance that could really do a lot of damage, and I'm not thinking he would, as I do have the Tapu Koko and the Charizard, and now he knocks off my leftovers. I mean, that reveals that he is just max attack Drapion, so it's not going to be too huge of a deal. I mean, that does do some decent damage. I'm going to have to look out for that and not just be able to freely switch in stuff later in the game. I'm just going to get up my rocks right here as he goes into his Latias, and then thinking that he is probably going to defog away immediately as they hit everything on his team neutrally and hits Chandelure for super effective. I'm just going to go for the Toxic. I am risking getting potentially knocked out by a Draco depending on the roll, but I'm not actually, you know what, I'm not in range of Draco at this point, so I'm just going to go straight for the Toxic as he goes for the Psychic. That does a ton, but as you can see, Draco would not have knocked me out. I would have lived with like a couple percent at that point, and I'm able to get the Toxic off on the Latias. So knowing that, okay, he's probably going to go for Draco right here, try to finish off my Swampert, or hit something that resists Psychic hard. I'm just going to go into the Mew. I thought about being cheeky and going into Coco, but I thought there's absolutely no reason to sack Coco, as Mew can just switch in, take the Draco, and then take another Draco and be able to heal up. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Latias is switching out. It is relatively low right there, so that's very nice. And also I know it's not Scarfed, so once Charizard gets up to +1, it's going to be the fastest mon on the field, and he goes into Drapion. Now, my Mew, as you saw in the team builder, has a lot of speed. I have quite a bit of speed. Unless he's running max speed Drapion, he's not going to be able to outspeed me, and I will be able to get a Will-O-Wisp off before he goes for either the knockoff or the pursuit. Now that I revealed to myself to be bulky Mew, I'm thinking that he won't predict my Mew to be as fast as it is. I mean, Mew took the hit very well, but he probably thinks that I have a good amount of defense as well. So, I mean, obviously, with the special defense that I have, he could be like, oh, okay, then he just put the rest in speed. But I'm thinking that he will think that I'm just defensive, or that I'm very bulky Mew and I don't have as much speed as I do. So I could just go for the Will-O-Wisp right here and burn the Drapion to where it's not doing nearly as much damage. Also, I could switch out, risk the pursuit, but thinking that, okay, I don't think he'll try to pursuit my Mew right here. I think he'll try to stay in, knock this thing off, because once he knocks off Mew, that gives Kangaskhan and Landorus and Chandelure a lot more freedom to do work against my team, because Mew actually does live a Scarf Chandelure Shadow Ball, and I will be able to knock that thing off. So yeah, I think he'll go for the knockoff right here as opposed to pursuit. Just try to get rid of my Mew's leftovers and lower its longevity. So I'm going to pull the switch into my Alolan Persian, and honestly, this move I do regret. So what I should have done was was either sacked off Swampert right there, or gone into Coco, or actually, well, sacked off Swampert or gone into Coco right there. I should not have gotten rid of my Rocky Helmet as early as I did, because, I mean, he was 100% going for knockoff. There is no way that he was not going to go for knockoff. I mean, we did talk after the game, and he thought about pursuit, but I do think that he was either going to go for pursuit and hit my Mew, or he was going to go for the knockoff. Regardless, Persian would be able to come in on the pursuit, or it'd be able to take the knockoff. So, I mean, it takes whatever hit. It just unfortunately loses me my Rocky Helmet, which is something that I didn't necessarily want this early, especially since I still have to check the Kangaskhan. But this does give me a free chance to just Parting Shot, go into my Skarmory, and have the chance to heal up, as I don't think he'll go for... So, I don't think he's going to go for a Dark move. If he goes for a Dark move, that's resisted. He'll either go for Poison Jab or Earthquake to try to hit my Alolan Persian, both of whom Skarmory resists. Now that Drapion is at -1, here is my opportunity to get my Skarmory back up and recover. So, I mean, with Persian, because of Persian's Parting Shot, Skarmory is going to be able to live that knockoff and heal up, and at this point, I'm not going to bother predicting. I am getting my Skarmory all the way back to full health. If he wants to go Mega Kangaskhan, that is fine. I still have my Persian. It doesn't have his Rocky Helmet, but that's okay with me, as I'm not going to risk it right there, as potentially if he goes for like a Thunderbolt or something like that, and he's specially oriented, then my Persian could take a lot more damage than I'd want it to. I figure Swampert's done its job, Latias is low, rocks are up. I can just sack this thing off right here to a return from Mega Kangaskhan, get a safe switch in to my Alolan Persian, and be able to hit this Kangaskhan. That is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay in, go for the Foul Play, easy 2-hit KO on his Kangaskhan, as I'm not going to be 2-hit KO'd by, well, not 2-hit KO'd by return into Sucker Punch. And instead of predicting, I just decided that, you know what, I'm going to stay in, go for Foul Play. It KOs the Kangaskhan, Latias and Chandelure are hit super effective by it. Landorus will take a gigantic chunk, and then Drapion, if it comes in, I'm just going to be able to Parting Shot out on it. I'll be able to outspeed and Parting Shot into something to take that on better. So go for the foul play again, does a decent amount to the Drapion, as now I'm going to go for Parting Shot, go into my Skarmory, as it will be able to beat it 1v1 if he tries to set up Toxic Spikes or something like that. Not a huge deal, as he does predict that nicely, goes for Fire Fang, but, I mean, you guys see that. Fire Fang is doing like 15 damage. So I'm going to be able to Brave Bird, wear this thing down, and now I'm at 60. So I'm like, you know what? I'm taking nothing. I can risk being burnt. Like, being burnt won't be nice, but I can still take out this Drapion. But considering that, okay, Skarmory's at 95%. I'm more than able to take a hit from Mega Kangaskhan or Landorus or a Life Orb Draco from Latias at this point. My Skarmory's at all the health I need. Drapion's still at -1, and yes, he does have Earthquake, but I have a very bulky Charizard who can come in, get up to +1 on this -1 Drapion, take not, I won't even be at half health with a +1/+1 Zard if he does decide to attack, and then I can potentially run through his team given this opportunity. So that's what I'm going to do. Switch into my Charizard on the Fire Fang. I take nothing from that, and now I'm just going to Mega Evolve and Dragon Dance, get up to +1/+1 as Drapion goes for the Earthquake. I mean, it does 32. Super effective hit, does 32 damage. And now I'm at a little bit of a situation. If I wasn't afraid of a crit, I could always just boost up and then just run through his team. Like, I could just keep boosting up on this Drapion, force him to switch out, and then just have all the boosts that I need to finish up the game at this point and roosting off the damage. But because Charizard runs through his team as much as it does, I don't want to risk it to a crit, because if he gets a crit and Charizard goes down, I'm in a horrible spot. So I don't want to risk that. I can get greedy. I could very easily set up as much as he allowed me to on this Drapion because of the minimal amount of damage that Earthquake is doing. But for the time being, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to play it safe, not risk potentially losing to a crit, and just go for a Dragon Claw. So would like to point out, if he did let me get up, well, on this Drapion, I realistically could have set up to the point where I could have just killed everything in one hit, outsped everything, and then almost no amount of Landorus Intimidates could keep me from sweeping through the rest of his team. I mean, even I can play around Mega Kang. If it has Fake Out, yeah, that's going to do some damage, but also Sucker Punch, I can play around that with Roost as long as I just don't reveal it at the right moment. So I have all the tools to win the game at this point, but because I want to play safe, I don't want to risk the crit, I'm just going to take out this Drapion, stay at +1/+1, force him to go into Landorus, take a round of rocks, and potentially even just knock this thing out. So I could go for the Flare Blitz right now, and then if I get a beneficial roll, I can knock it out. But I decided that, no, I have a guaranteed switch into Skarmory right now. There's no reason to risk Charizard this early. Also, Charizard can take a hit, can take a Shadow Ball from Chandelure, and also deters it from trying to spam Fire Blast to potentially win the game if he's running Scarf Shandy as well. So I'm going to switch out into my Skarmory to take the potential Earthquake from Landorus and just fire off a Brave Bird, as it will get a kill. So he makes a very nice play, predicts that, goes for U-turn, and now he's going to be able to bring in something. I was thinking that he was going to bring in the Chandelure, but he brings in a Kangaskhan, and you don't bring in Kangaskhan on Skarmory unless you're running something like Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, something to hit Skarmory super effectively from the special side. So, I mean, knowing that, I'm not going to risk that. I'm not going to bother losing my Skarm, because then Landorus can potentially Earthquake through my team. I am not risking that. Just going to switch out into my Alolan Persian and take the what turns out to be Flamethrower. And unfortunately, so I thought about this play for a little bit. I was like, okay, I can just go for the Parting Shot, avoid the Sucker Punch, go into Tapu Koko or something like that, go into Skarmory, but I figured that it really wasn't worth it at this point. If he predicted that and went for Flamethrower or Return, then one of my Mons would take way more damage than it needed to, and at this point Alolan Persian has done its job. Like, it's been able to get my Skarmory back up to full health, which I can honestly not say enough how important that was for this game. And then it checked the Kangaskhan to get it to the point where I can take it out with other Mons on my team. So Alolan Persian did an incredible job. I could have played around the potential of Sucker Punch, but I decided not to bother with that mind game at all. I'm going to go for the foul play. I'm going to knock this out, or I'm going to get a huge hit off on Latias, Chandelure, or Landorus at this point, as he does go for the Sucker Punch, and unfortunately it's going to be able to knock my Alolan Persian out. Did an incredible job this game. Could not have asked for Persian to do much more. And this does give me a free switch into my Tapu Koko and a free just get rid of this Kangaskhan. Yeah, Sucker Punch is going to get rid of I'm saying get rid of too much. This gives me a free Dazzling Gleam on the Kangaskhan. He's not going to go into Chandelure. Kangaskhan is way too low. This lets me keep my Tapu Koko in, as it forces in the Landorus or the Chandelure, as Latias will be knocked out by a Dazzling Gleam. At this point, it will be outsped and knocked out. And then with the bulk that I have in Tapu Koko, Landorus has to go for Earthquake to knock me out in general, and I do live every hit from a Scarf Chandelure, so that's what I'm able to do at this point. Just leave my Tapu Koko in, and he goes into Scarf Shandy. And if he locks himself into Fire Blast, okay, if he's Modest Fire Blast, he has a chance to knock me out. But if he does go for Modest Fire Blast, that's a free setup with Charizard once again, and I will just be able to, at this point, run through his team. If he goes for a Fire move and manages to knock out my Tapu Koko, 1, that means that he is Scarfed and is locked into that, and 2, that means that Charizard just wins. I get up to +1, Landorus is going to be in range of Flare Blitz, and I will be able to win the game from there. So right here, I'm just going to go for the very safe Volt Switch. He's not going to try to play games going to Landorus, because there's no reason to take 25% on Chandelure unless you have to. As he goes to the Shadow Ball, as you can see, does not come close to knocking me out, and I'm going to go for the Volt Switch. And because Charizard is so bulky, I know that it can even take a Shadow Ball as well. So I'm going to go straight into that and get up to +1, force not only the Chandelure to die, but if I get up to +1, something else on his team dies as well. So Chandelure dies to Rocks. That's just kind of a given. He's not going to be able to defog this late in the game. That's just something that I really don't think he's going to try to take a turn to do. And if he does, then that's honestly just a great position for me to be able to abuse that free turn and win the game. At +1, I'm going to Dragon Claw right here, get rid of the Chandelure, and he has 2 choices. So if he goes into Latias, I mean, Latias is a very bad play. He has to go into Landorus right here. There is zero reason not to go Landorus. If he goes into Latias, then that means that Charizard just wins the game, because I can Dragon Claw the Latias. Even if he tries to go into Landorus on the Dragon Claw, then I will be able to 2-hit KO that thing anyway. So there's no reason for him to go Latias. He has to go Landorus right here, and then I will Flare Blitz. It'll either knock out the Landorus or the Latias. Whichever I knock out, I have responses for. If I knock out the Latias, I have Skarmory for the Landorus to keep him from being able to Earthquake through my team. I also have Mew, and at this point I don't know that it's Scarf Landorus. I mean, I'm 99% sure, but I can just go into my Mew if I'm able to take out the Latias, Will-O-Wisp the Landorus. If he's Scarfed, he'll be faster than me. If he's not, then I will get off the Will-O-Wisp and cripple that thing to where I will be able to win the game with Mew and Skarmory wearing the Landorus down. So regardless, I have him in checkmate position as he goes into the Landorus, and I'm just going to go straight for the Flare Blitz. Like I said, knocks out either the Landorus or the Latias, and whatever I knocked out, I would be able to finish up the game, because Charizard was going to go down to Flare Blitz. That was just kind of a given at that point. Crit did not matter. He gave me his set, and I calced it after the game. I mean, it did a minimum of 78%. And with the 2 rounds of rocks, then Charizard would definitely... It was a guaranteed KO on the Landorus with that bulk. And now that it is just a double down, all he has left is Latias. I do have Tapu Koko that guaranteed outspeeds. I can just go into that thing and go for the Fairy Z in order to knock out this Latias. I mean, it's already revealed to not be Scarfed and not be Roselie Berry. So Twinkle Tackle will knock it out, and we are able to come away with the 3-0 victory. So that was a very good game against a very good player with an incredibly scary team. So good game, Carson. You got me really hard on that Landorus U-turn against my Mega Charizard X. I mean, had I stayed in, I think it might have just been game right there, but that was an excellent play by you. I commend you for that right there. But yeah, we are able to finally get above 500 on the season. I am now personally 3-1, but the team is 5-4. And hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.